guys doing? How you guys doing? I hope you all are doing good. I was gonna say I look crazy, but like I always come here looking crazy, but we leave here looking cute. And that's what matters. Today I'm going to do my go-to sleek bun. I'm styling my hair. I have a very busy day today, guys. Like it's so busy. I have content I need to create and I need to go live. I have not gone live with you guys this whole week. So today was a must. And I have to prepare for an interview for tomorrow. I'm going to be interviewing someone on my platform. So I need to prep for that. And, editing content and still having to post it on the same day. Stressful, stressful. So that's my busy day for today. So lots and lots to do, but I wanted to get ready with you guys today and just have a little conversation, something different, something, well, not really different, but different for my live viewers because I haven't really delved into this topic in detail like I'm going to do it today. And I think it's a bit overdue. You guys need to get to know me. And what really inspired me to have this candid conversation with you guys today. Let me see. Should I? Okay, I wanted to switch out my lighting, but I think it's fine. So what really prompted me to want to have this candid conversation with you guys is that yesterday I had like a workshop with YouTube and we were getting training from this other creator. Her name is I forgot her name. Sorry. It's 11 Ipsy something. I just can't remember correctly. But she really inspired me so much. She's a plus size content creator and she just really shared some great insights during the workshop. And I've learned so much. And that really inspired me for today's conversation where I kind of want to have a very candid and open and honest conversation with my viewers about who I am, Monica Rasoroka, why I wanted to become a creator, why I create content, what's my story, like how did I end up here? So we're going to get into it. So, for those that don't know, I grew up in a cult. Yeah, I grew up in a cult and it really shaped my life in so many different ways that I didn't even expect. Now that I'm like into my adulthood and I am like, becoming more self-aware and just growing as an individual. And I'm just seeing like, wow, growing up in a cult really shaped my life. Like even now that I've left, it still has a bit of influence in my life. So some people might be like, oh my gosh, you were in a cult. How did you get into a cult? Well, I was actually born into a cult. So I didn't have a choice. I was just born into it. And a lot of people, when I tell them the name of the religion, they want to really argue and say, Monica, that's not true. That is not a cult. Guys, you don't just come onto the internet and make outlandish statements that are not backed up by anything. Like you just don't do that. You have to share the facts, you have to share the research, you have to share the knowledge, and just don't make outlandish statements. But when someone says something, also like it is their truth. So we have Leona asking, what's the cult? And hi, Khabib. I hope Kubik. So the cult I grew up in is the Jehovah's Witnesses, and a lot of people who are affiliated with the religion or still part of the religion will quickly argue and say that is not a cult. No, it's not. Or if a person knows Jehovah's Witnesses, they will say like, no, that is not true. I know Jehovah's Witness, and they are kind people, they're good people, and people shouldn't get points conflated or confused. Just because people are part of a cult, it doesn't necessarily mean they're bad people. They just got involved in a cult. Now, why do I say the Jehovah's Witnesses is a cult? I'll tell you guys. And yes, that goes into my next point, Leona. Like, what is a cult? I'll help you guys define what is a cult. And then I'll move on to my experience of growing up as a Jehovah's Witness. So there are 8 characteristics when it comes to a cult. 8. And the Jehovah's Witnesses fit into 7 of those characteristics. When I did this live, I wish I planned better where I noted down all of the characteristics that make up a cult. So if you're really interested in that, just Google them. They are quite easy to find on the internet, and you will see the different characteristics that make up, a cult. So one of them is having a charismatic leader, or charismatic leaders. These are leaders where like they lead the group. Everything they say is their truth. They are the ones who have the connection to God, a leader that everyone listens to. So Jehovah's Witnesses have that, but their leader isn't just necessarily one person, it's actually a group of men. They are called the governing body. They are based in New York, Warwick, and they make up all of the rules in the religion. And the rules of the Jehovah's Witnesses aren't just rules like when it comes to normal Christianity, where you need to be a good person, you need to be kind, be have morals, the typical stuff what you expect when it comes to Christians. For them, it's not that. Like the rules, which is also another characteristic of a cult, is that they separate you from the general public or from other people, and the group is very isolated. So that's why a lot of people become so confused when you talk about the Jehovah's Witnesses, and they'll say like, no, that is not true, they are like good people. It's because they're so isolated that people sometimes don't even know much about the religion. So they'll just say like, no, from my experience, blah blah blah. But it's like, yes, that's your experience. What about the people who were part of the religion, who went through it, who grew up in it, like myself? So there's so much to unpack. Please ask me questions, guys, because this is my experience. I've spoken about this so many times. So I sometimes skip a few points. I sometimes maybe might not explain things properly. So please ask me questions. I'm so happy to answer all of them. I'll just talk a bit and then I'll get into the comment section. So I'll answer your questions and then I'll get back to talking again. So just to quickly unpack the Jehovah's Witnesses, it's a Christian religion and it's quite actually new. A lot of people don't know that it's a very new religion. It started in the late 1800s and became popular in America actually during a time where religions like the Mormons were coming up, and during the time where a lot of Americans were settling in, I can't remember which region. There's actually a video on YouTube from Netflix actually that talks about how the Jehovah's Witnesses and other cults actually formed. So even Netflix categorizes Jehovah's Witnesses as a cult. So this is just not me. So a lot of people also don't know that the founder of the Jehovah's Witnesses, Charles Taze Russell, is also a Zionist, or was a Zionist because he's passed away. And people will be quick to argue the point like, oh my gosh, Charles Taze Russell was not a Zionist. He actually was. There's a book where the president of the country of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, who was part of the United Nations at some point, and he gave a speech thanking Charles Taze Russell, the founder of the Jehovah's Witnesses, for the country of Israel being what it is, this day. Like Charles Taze Russell really had an influence. So a lot of the Jehovah's Witnesses don't know the true roots of the religion. The religion didn't even allow Black people initially. They only started allowing Black people into the religion when they started seeing other religions have missionaries going to Africa and making money and growing. And they were like, oh my gosh, here's an opportunity for us as a religion to grow. And that's when they started allowing Black people in. So the Jehovah's Witnesses believe that when you die, you don't go to heaven. Like when you die, you just die and you're going to wait for the resurrection. When Armageddon comes, Armageddon is going to come, and Armageddon is basically the end of the world, and that's Judgment Day. So when people die, they basically wait for Judgment Day. And then based on how God judges you, you will either go to paradise or you will basically be unalived, forever, indefinitely, because you're such a bad person by God. So the Jehovah's Witnesses initially believe that Black people, if they found favor in God, in when they go to paradise, they will be white. Like, oh my God. Like it's actually a very racist religion, like the roots, the beginning of the religion. And when they saw that, okay, there's an opportunity here to make money by accepting Black people, that's kind of when the religion's tone started shifting, started changing, when segregation was literally just before segregation was being abolished, the Jehovah's Witnesses, that's when they started allowing Black people into the religion. So I learned all of this like right before I left the religion. And the religion has so many doctrines, so many rules. They don't allow people to celebrate their birthdays, no Christmas, no holidays. Um, you can't accept a blood transfusion, even if you need a blood transfusion, even if your life depends on it, you can't accept it. It's seen as morally wrong. And let me see, I'm trying to think of a few quick facts, then I'm gonna answer questions. Okay, but that's what I can think of right now. Ask me questions and I'll answer them. Let me just go through the comment section. We have Leona saying, what makes them a cult? I kind of went over the points. There's 8 characteristics that define a cult. The Jehovah's Witnesses fit into 7 of those different characteristics. Just Google them. The only characteristic that Jehovah's Witnesses do not fall under is they do not force their members to be under the influence of substances. That's one of the characteristics when it comes to a cult. So they don't do that, but the rest, they all do. Wow, this is fascinating. TMG question marks. What's up, TMGs? We have Saeed. Hello from Dubai. Hi, Saeed. So many religions. Which one to pick? Yeah, there's a lot of religions. Like, which do you honestly pick? It all depends on you as a person, in my opinion. What resonates with you, what works for you. The God you pray to will depend on the family you are born in. 100%. I definitely believe that your environment, where you are raised, where you grow up, it plays a significant part in terms of the religion a person ends up being in. Is your Jesus black or white? Oh no, I don't believe in Jesus. I'm not a Christian. So, but I do think Jesus was black, in my opinion. I think so. Yeah. So, back to growing up as a Jehovah's Witness. I was born a Jehovah's Witness, and I was born at actually such a tumultuous time in South Africa. So, I'm South African, and I was born in 1993. And literally a month before I was born. So, for those that don't know, South Africa was a segregated country, meaning that black and white people were segregated. White people came to South Africa, they colonized the land, they colonized the systems and everything. So, everything was segregated. Black and white people was living separately, and black people were heavily oppressed in South Africa. I mean, we still are, to be honest. And I was born in 1993. So in 1993, a very popular leader of the ANC, which was the party that was going to rule post 1994, a very popular leader was assassinated, Chris Hani. And when Chris Hani was assassinated, a lot of South Africans lost a lot of hope. And at that time, my mom was actually pregnant with me. And I think that really instigated her going into postpartum depression, which is something she went through when she gave birth to me. And because of that, she was quite susceptible to being inducted or getting into a cult. And that's one thing that has really encouraged me to share my story, to share it honestly and openly, is that cults, anyone can get roped into a cult. It's not stupid people who get roped into cults. It's not people who are uneducated or people who are just poor. Anyone can get roped into a cult. If you are just mentally not in a good space, it's very easy for you to get roped into a cult. That's what they do. And the Jehovah's Witnesses kind of do that. They look for people who are not in a good mental space, people who are really struggling, people who are going through a lot of issues, which is why the religion has really been seeing a lot of growth in developing countries, even though it's seeing a decline in developed countries. So when you look in Western countries, the Jehovah's Witnesses are actually quite decreasing. There's like not a lot of people in Western countries who are part of the Jehovah's Witness religion. But when you look into developing countries like in Asia and Africa, the Jehovah's Witnesses are really growing, even in countries where there are conflicts, where there is a lot of trauma, that's where they are growing. And that's kind of a telltale sign of, okay, this is a cult that is basically exploiting people's pain. So that's what happened with my mother. She had postpartum depression. South Africans were unsure about just the certainty of South Africa in 1993. So my mom then got somehow roped into a cult. So that's how I was born into a cult, because she got baptized literally right after she gave birth to me. Now, I will be honest, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness to me wasn't the worst. It was all that I knew, literally all that I knew. And it seemed like, okay, this is normal, this is fine. Growing up in a cult, I didn't celebrate my birthday growing up, I didn't celebrate Christmas. um I really had to be selective in terms of the people who I claimed to be my friends. And I was actually a very like academically gifted child, very academically promising. So that's also something that just caused a lot of confusion in my life, because seemingly I'm someone who's smart, someone who, can have like a good career when they grow up, but I'm part of a religion where pursuing a higher education is frowned upon. So the Jehovah's Witnesses don't want their members to pursue a higher education. When I was still growing up in the religion, people were not encouraged to go to university. People were encouraged to know, once you leave high school, you're just going to learn a trade, something you can do, you know, just to make a living. And then you're going to use all of your time and put it into the religion. Good morning, Vidi. You're going to take all of your time and put it into the religion. So that's kind of my upbringing. But it just never resonated with me. Like, even though I grew up in this religion and it's all that I knew, it just felt exhausting. It felt tiring. And I was just like, this is a lot. And I felt like as soon as I leave home, I might leave this religion. But I did get baptized when I was 15 years old. And I didn't realize what it is that I was getting myself into, because once you become baptized as a Jehovah's Witness, and you can get baptized at any age, mind you, any age you can get baptized. You can get baptized even as a 5 year old. 5 year old. Imagine a 5 year old gets baptized. Now, why is this so major? Because once you become baptized, you're officially seen as a Jehovah's Witness. And even if you're 5 years old, you're kind of seen as an adult, because if you do anything wrong, like you're caught smoking, or maybe you have a drinking problem, or you have sex before marriage, or you decide to, have a relationship with someone who's not part of the religion, you can get removed from the religion. And when you are removed from the religion, you are shunned, meaning that people don't talk to you anymore. So imagine now you get baptized as a 15-year-old like me, and then maybe I had pre-marital sex at 16, and they found out, because also the religion encourages you to tell on yourself. Like, if you do something wrong, tell the elders that, okay, no, I did this and this, I'm sorry, and then the elders will help you change your ways. And I need to tell you guys, these when you tell the elders the stuff that you've done, your problems, whatever, it's called the judicial committee. And it's disgusting, guys. It's disgusting. I'll unpack what happens in a judicial committee. So you basically tell on yourself. And if they are like, no, we feel like this person needs to be, reprimanded, or this person needs to change, or for example, you fall pregnant out of wedlock, you are shunned. You are removed from the church. No one talks to you anymore. No one. Not even your family. Your family just has like basic conversations with you, like, okay, we're going to have dinner today, do you want to have chicken or beef? That's it. They don't talk to you about God anymore. They don't talk to you about your day to day, like nothing. Like, communication is very limited. And if you don't even live with your family, they will stop communicating with you for good, like until you come back. That's how deep it is. And it's been such a dangerous form of trying to reprimand people. People have committed suicide, and it's just one of the practices to me that just never really resonated. So I grew up in the religion, and in 2017 I decided to leave. But what made me leave was actually 2016. So many things happened in 2016. 2016 I discovered the Royal Commission. The Royal Commission was a court hearing that happened in Australia, where the Jehovah's Witnesses were being questioned when it comes to child abuse allegations. And at that time, I didn't know much. And when I watched this on YouTube, And then I'm seeing elders in the religion lie on the stand and really being questioned by a lawyer. And I was like, this is weird. And then remember, I told you that you know, cults have charismatic leaders and the Jehovah's Witnesses have charismatic leaders, but theirs is a group, of course, of men, and they're seen as like a direct connection to God. They're seen as God speaks directly to these men. And one of them was invited to the Royal Commission, and he was very much vague in his responses. He lied about some stuff. And I was like, what? Because you see these people as very close to Jesus, close to God, and a person like that is lying. I was like, what have I been roped into? What have I like involved myself into? So that really just gave me more courage to leave. And this was also a time where Black Lives Matters was really taking hold in America. This was just literally when George Floyd was unalived or murdered. So the religion put out an article about that is protesting even a thing like an article around like does protesting even help. And I felt like that was such an insensitive article to be released by a religious organization, especially during the political climate at the time. And it also made me realize that this religion really doesn't care about Black people or people of color, because what do you mean, does protesting even help when people are living under such difficult conditions, especially Black people? If your freedom has been violently taken, it's not going to be just given back to you, just easily. Sometimes it needs to be violently taken back. So, what do you mean protesting doesn't help? So, people mustn't fight for their freedom? This sounds like an article written by someone who, you know what, they have a lot of privilege. So that's really what pushed me to leave the religion in 2017. I'm going to answer some of your questions from the comment section, and then we will carry on talking about the whole process of me leaving and deconstructing. Okay. Oh, you have people that I recognize. Really good morning. You have Andile. Hi, Andile. Hey there. I hope you're doing good. I just joined your live now. Did you just say Jehovah's Witnesses is a cult? Yes, the Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult. A cult has 8 characteristics. There are 8 characteristics. Just Google them. I just can't remember them off of the top of my head. But the Jehovah's Witnesses fit into 7 of those characteristics. I have lots and lots of videos actually on this on my channel. So if you're really interested, you can watch videos on my channel where I talk about the Jehovah's Witnesses, growing up as one, why I left, the problems, all of that. But yes, they actually are a cult. Jesus loves you all. Noko Mojela. Okay. I'm not a Christian. That's why I'm just like, okay. Vidi, how are you doing this morning? I'm doing good, Vidi. Vidi, 5-year-old can't even spell the word sin. What is sin though? What is sin actually? According to the Bible, a person is supposed to get baptized if they understand what it means. Oh yeah, sorry, Vidi, 5-year-old can't even spell the word sin. Exactly. Sorry, I'm like, exactly. A 5-year-old can't even spell sin, but they can get baptized. And that's why the Jehovah's Witnesses in the country of Norway were actually banned. In, I think, late 2023 or early 2024, the religion was banned for child abuse, because you cannot baptize children and then when they do a mistake, you stop talking to them. That's abuse. That is literally abuse. And Noko says, according to the Bible, a person is supposed to get baptized if they understand what it means. Yeah, but does a 5-year-old understand what it means? Do they understand? I don't think they do. So for them, repentance is a foreign concept. Exactly. And your repentance is also dependent on a group of men and how they view you. There's a lot of internal politics when it comes to the Jehovah's Witness religion as well. Like inside the religion, like any other group, for example, in politics, there's people who like each other, people who don't like each other. You even know, for example, in the workplace, there's politics where someone is favored, someone is liked. In any form of community, in any institution where there are groups of people, there's biases and stuff like that. So in the Jehovah's Witness community, there's things like that as well. So sometimes people will disfellowship you, or they'll give you a harsh punishment purely because the elders didn't like you. Like, that has happened to a lot of people actually. So yeah, I decided to leave in 2017, and for me, that was honestly the best decision for myself. But, child, I didn't know that deconstructing and unpacking would be something that I do basically, lifelong. Like, even still till this day, 7, 8 years later, there's still things I'm unpacking about my experience of growing up in a high control religion. So we have Andila asking, since joining the cult, what's your worst experience? For me, okay, I left the cult in 2017. And the religion, also, another thing for me is it has a child abuse problem. And more specifically, SA, you know, grape problem. And the religion is trying to hide it so bad, but they're failing. And for me, the worst thing was learning about this, that I'm part of a religion that is harming children. I'm part of a religion where I've gone house to house, encouraging people, trying to recruit people to join into this religion. That for me was actually the worst experience. Like, it was so painful for me to just come to terms with that I was recruiting people into such a dangerous organization. And I'm very happy that no one has joined, or no one got to join the religion because of being recruited by me. But that was honestly something very difficult to come to terms with. But on a personal level, nothing bad actually happened to me within the religion. I'll even be honest, I miss it sometimes. I miss the community, I miss the people. Like, my experience on, like, from the religion in general was actually quite positive, even though there were definitely a lot of issues. But on a very high level, it was quite positive. But learning about the child abuse for me was so painful. Like, I couldn't believe I was part of a religion so dangerous. And also, I'm an African woman, and I have an African woman's body, and my body developed quite quickly. Like, when I was like 13, I really had a busty chest already. Like, I think I was like a double D in high school. Yeah, I was a double D in high school. And I felt so sexualized in the church. Like, men would come up to me and say, "Oh, you're not dressed properly. We can see your cleavage, your body, your dress is too short, your dress is too short," stuff like that. And that really for me was kind of a bad experience because it made me have a very challenging and difficult relationship with my body. And only now in my adulthood do I feel more comfortable and I'm okay with my body. But growing up in a religion where I was constantly policed on how I dress, and how men see me, really had me internalize just wanting to be constantly seen by men in a certain way. And yeah, I just don't like that. Didn't like that at all. It was such a horrible experience. Nuku wants to know, what church do I go to? I currently don't go to any church. I don't think, I know I'll never be part of any church. Like, leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses and pursuing my own spirituality on a personal level made me have just this outlook on life where, when I was deconstructing, I was like having very honest and very open conversations with myself about religion and faith. And that's when I realized that religion, guys, is just a tool. It's just a tool to subdue people, to pacify us. And sometimes it's not even there to help us foster a good relationship with God. And I'm not saying people should leave religion, people shouldn't be part of churches. That is your own personal journey in life, and it's all up to you. What works for you works for you. Stick with it. But we also need to be honest and have open and honest conversations. All of the conflicts that we are seeing in and around the world, no matter where you go, whether you go to the Middle East, whether you go to Africa, whether you go to America, the root the very root of those problems comes from religion. It comes from our faith. And I feel that religion divides us further as a human race, as a group of people. It really divides us further. And when you look at Christianity, for example, it facilitated the slave trade of Africans. So when Africans were being stolen from Africa and taken to other parts of the world, like America, Europe, the Roman Catholic Church facilitated that. Religion facilitated that. Even the Arab community, they enslaved Africans, and they were actually the last group of people to abolish slavery. And slavery is still kind of taking place in Africa, even till this day, when you look at other, North African countries. And again, this division, it's religion that really divides us further. So for me personally, I have no interest to be part of any religion, none of it. I practice African spirituality. That's what resonates with me. African spirituality predates any religion, any spirituality. African spirituality is literally the oldest form of spirituality. And for me personally, what I love about African spirituality is that there are no rules of this is what you need to do, this is what you don't need, this is what you shouldn't do. African spirituality is about your personal relationship with God and your personal relationship with your ancestors. So ancestors and God are not the same thing. You don't worship your ancestors. Your ancestors are people who have died, who are on the other side, people who are also your guides. So sometimes they're not even related to you by blood, but these are people who have chosen you and they said, we want to guide this person during their time on planet Earth and we will help them. So that's my belief system. And African spirituality also encourages you to live in harmony with nature. And that when you see God, when you see nature, when you see yourself, you are literally seeing a reflection of God, because we are all manifestations of God. And it also helps us to see the importance of respecting nature, taking care of nature, and seeing how natural elements are actually technology. Like, when you think of Africa and how, our practices and things that we do, we see them as primitive and just, things that are behind with the times, because that was done intentionally. That was done so that we as Africans do not see ourselves as people who are, valuable, people who are important, people who have a place on this planet, people who are just important, people, worthy of life. And even the way you have been living being a way that is valuable. So when you start practicing African spirituality and you start really learning about how your ancestors grew up, how your ancestors lived life, and even in our languaging, when you and like really sit there and unpack the way we speak as Africans, you learn so much about us. So for me, practicing African spirituality is really what resonates with me, and understanding the technology that our ancestors had and still utilized, and how we lived in harmony with the planet and in harmony with other people. That's something that resonates with me and something I truly enjoy. So I don't go to church. I practice African spirituality. Andile wants to know, if you could turn back the hands of time, what would you have done different with your life? Oh, wow. If I could turn back time, you know, in all honesty, I wouldn't change anything if I could turn back time, because I am where I am right now because of the decisions that I've made. And where I am right now, honestly, I'm quite happy with my life. I'm content, and I am very proud of myself being able to get to this point, because leaving a high control religion that has imprisoned your mind is so difficult. The cognitive dissonance, guys, is crazy. It is so crazy. It is so difficult to leave a high control religion. It's so difficult. And that's why it takes you such a long time to deconstruct your mind, because your mind is captured. Your mind is captured, and you have to free your mind. And that is so difficult. So, if I could go back, I really wouldn't change anything. But if I could actually go back and change something, is that I would learn to trust myself from a young age. Really, really believe in myself, because when you grow up, oh, it's making me so emotional right now. I don't want to cry, but when I grew up in this religion, it really fostered this thing of not believing in myself. And I know that had I believed in myself from a younger age, I would probably be further in life. I would be somewhere where I'd be more content. I don't know, not that I'm not content with where I am right now in life, but probably I think there's certain dreams, certain paths that I would have taken in life that I have not taken, that I would have actually liked to have taken. You know, I would have allowed myself to shine brighter, because your light also gets dimmed when you're part of these groups, part of these high control religions. You are really told you are not worthy. It's really ingrained into yourself. You're ingrained to think that men are more important than you, more valuable than you as a woman. And that also is something that has held me back. And it has played a significant role in terms of me now being single for such a long time, because I really had to unpack that and unpack how I view men and how I view my place in the world. Because for the longest time, I saw men who literally did nothing, men who I was better than, men who I was smarter than, men who I had more going for than, like men who I was doing better than in life. I saw them as more important, more valuable, because of just the indoctrination. So if I could go back, I would really tell myself that, Monica, you are so smart. You are so smart. You're smarter than that man. And when I say that man, it's not just, romantically, it's religiously. The men who lead you in the religion, they're not even educated, they're not even informed, they're not even, smart on anything, but then they are leading a group of people and they have such a huge role in your life. So I would really tell myself that these people honestly hold no value. These people know nothing. Ignore them and listen to yourself, listen to your inner voice. And the adults, they are not so smart. I think that's one thing we're all realizing right now, is that the adults, we thought as kids that, okay, these people are the adults, they're looking after us, they must be smart. They are not the smartest. They are not. Hey Cubic, how you doing? Hello, lovely. Hi, Cubic. I love you. I love you too, Cubic. We have Vidi. Please kindly stop spamming. She will respond to you. I love you, Cubic. We have Shavine. Hi, Shavine. We have Christino. Hi, Christino. Wonderful listening to you. Thank you so much. Nuku, were you Catholic? No, I was not Catholic, but my mother was Catholic. My mother grew up in the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church played a very big role in my mother's family specifically. And yeah, wrong interpretation. I'm thinking probably you're speaking about maybe the Bible. I don't know. We have Andile. You have been through a lot, Shame. Now I understand why you're so wise and why you love African spirituality. Thank you, Andile. Yeah, like having just a healthy relationship with African spirituality has healed so much with me within a person. It has helped me to see the importance of the feminine, the importance of being a woman, and the value we have. Even though society will try to make us feel that women are not valuable, women are not, don't have power, don't have worth. African spirituality really reminds us that women actually hold the power. Women bring life into this planet. Women are just powerful. We're amazing. And African spirituality has really healed that for me. And I think now I'm on this journey right now where I'm also learning to have a healthier relationship with the masculine energy and masculine people. And I'm just opening myself up now to having healthier relationships with men. And again, this is not necessarily just romantically, but I'm talking about when it comes to faith, when it comes to friendships, when it comes to professional settings, in any setting where I encounter a man. African spirituality has helped me to just also foster and have a healthy relationship, because we're in the same vein of being honest about the patriarchy, being honest about how men are harming us as women, especially here in South Africa. We know everything that's going on with GBV. We also have to realize that we have to, and it's not it's not our responsibilities as women, in my opinion. I think these are the responsibilities of men, but men need to foster healthier relationships, not just with women, but with themselves. Because I think the way men treat women, the way men treat the planet, the way men treat other men is a reflection of themselves and how they see themselves. And it's very important for them to heal. And I say this especially for Black men, that Black men, you really, really need to heal yourselves. And when black men heal themselves, Africa will heal. That's what I believe in. We have no clue. What you went through and faced was not good. I'm so sorry. It feels like I'm trying to get you to be a Christian, but there's a lot of truth that you do not know. I know a lot when it comes to Christianity. Like when you're a Jehovah's Witness, you really study the Bible a lot. Like I will tell you that you study the Bible a lot. And it's, when I say a lot, it's like every single day of the week you are studying the Bible. So I understand Christianity and it's just not for me. Like honestly, it's just not for me. I don't resonate with any religion. Any, it's not just Christianity. Any Abrahamic religion, it's not for me. It's not for me. For me personally, I believe that religion divides us further as people. I believe that religion is a tool that governments use to oppress people. I believe that religion is a tool for oppression to continue. Religion is a tool for racism to continue. Religion is a tool for colonization to continue. Why were our ancestors and forefathers not religious? You know, and when they were not, the world lived in harmony. There was not this much destruction. And again, this is not to say people must leave religion, you must stop practicing. I'm speaking specifically for myself, that as someone who grew up in a high control religion, I can't go back to that environment. I have no interest. I don't even want to lie. I have no interest. It took so much from me that, yeah, I have no interest in going back. Vidi says exactly. Some parts of you are suppressed, all in the name of religion. Exactly. A lot, guys. Like, there's certain things, and it's so silly. You know, it's so silly. Like, I struggle with eye contact. Like, it sounds so silly, but I struggle with eye contact and looking people in the eye because, okay, from a cultural perspective, growing up, when you look adults in the eye, it was seen as being disrespectful. But then also growing up in religion, where I was raised to really revere men and fear them and see them as above me, I, I sometimes struggle, like when I talk to a man, looking them in the eye, because I'm just like, oh, I don't want to give the wrong message. Like again, you police yourself so much, especially as a woman, and you suppress so much of yourself, all in the name of religion. So it's very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. Angela said, as I said before, we could speak all day because basically you are one of the few people who see life the same way I do. Religion is made to oppress women, and African culture sees us as equal. Yes, not just African culture. Like when you study any form of spirituality, all around the world, whether you go to the Middle East and you see what they did before, the Arab conquest. No, let me say in North Africa, when you learn about what they did and what they believed in before being, enslaved by the Arabs, or the Arab conquest before that, or when you go to America and you look at the indigenous Indian Americans, that's what they call, right? The indigenous people of America. When you go to Mexico, when you go to ancient Egypt, when you go to here in Southern Africa, when you go to anywhere, India, anywhere where you go and you learn about people who were practicing spirituality before religion, we were seen as equal, men and women. And we both brought value to this world. And we both have something to bring, and it's different, but it's of value. And when we work together, we birth beautiful things into this world. And again, religion says what? No, 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 no. The man is above the woman. And then we wonder why there's such high rates of gender-based violence. We wonder why women are so raped and harmed. We wonder why there's unequal pay in the workplace where men are paid more than women. There's racism in the world where certain races are seen as more valuable, more important than certain people. People are still enslaved till this day. There's danger to religion. There's lots of danger. Nuku says, what are the Jehovah's Witnesses? The Jehovah's Witnesses are a form of Christianity. So they are a religious group who consider themselves as Christians. They believe in God, Jehovah, and they believe in God's Son, Jesus Christ. And they also have a group of people, a charismatic leader called the governing body, a group of men of, I think, could be 9 men, I'm not sure, nine, yeah, I think maybe nine men, because the number keeps changing. Some of them die, some of them, one got recently removed. So these men are seen as a direct link to God. So they get direct messages from God. So these are the men who make the rule changes in the religion. These are the men who tell people what to do in the religion. They are the ones who, the Jehovah's Witnesses have books. They will tell them, okay, this month we're going to cover this topic, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, but it's basically a religious organization and quite dangerous. Andile asks a cult, says, okay, I don't know if it's a question, let's read it. A cult is meant to break you spiritually, but mostly mentally as well. Did you have to wake up at a certain time, and did they control your diet? Wow. I didn't have to wake up at a certain time, but there was the exploitation of my time and my energy. So, what Andile is speaking about, that a cult will try to break you spiritually and mentally, and they will try to control your diet. They will try to control your time. The Jehovah's Witnesses kind of do that as well. They control your time in the sense that you are overly consumed with the religion. So they don't tell you when to wake up, when to go to bed, but every single day, like I mentioned, you are reading a book. You are reading something on the religion. The religion has multiple church meetings where you go and physically meet. So there's one I know with my mom is still practicing, so on Tuesdays they meet, and on Sundays they still meet. So before those meetings, you have to prepare. And then they go also to preach to people. So you are taking your time, your effort, your energy, your resources, putting them into the religion to further the message and to recruit more people. So that's how they break you mentally and spiritually, where they take up your time, your energy, and your resources, because they don't pay you to do these things. You are doing all of these things out of your own pocket, remember. Then you've got conventions and assemblies to go to. So these are like special times where different congregations come to congregate together, like a conference. So I think they have like 3 in a year, and there's one where they meet 2 times. But there's one where it's 2 days, so they'll meet on a Saturday and a Sunday. And then this one where they will meet just on a Saturday, just one day. And then they'll have another convention where they meet 3 days. So it's the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday. And you are expected to take time off work if you are employed. You are expected to pay your own way to get there. You are expected to buy your own food when you get there. And it all depends also on the type of elders you have in your own congregations. So I remember there was a elder in our congregation who really discouraged people from exercising, saying that when you're exercising, it's actually very ungodly, unchristian-like, because you're wearing tight clothing that's fitting to your body, that can really entice men and make men see you in a sexual way. And yoga, for example, is discouraged within the religion. So that's the part where they control your diet, they control what it is that you do. So Jehovah's Witnesses do not practice yoga, they see it as demonic. And yeah, there are little things like that. So Nuku wants to know, what is a cult? Ugh, a cult. I'm using my phone to do this live. I wish I could just quickly Google to you guys and show you, like, okay, thank you. Vidi, I think, has a response for us. A cult is a group or movement that is usually centered around a strong leader or ideology, and it's categorized by intense devotion, strict control over members, and manipulative. In short, that is perfect, Vidi. That is such a perfect response, because The Jehovah's Witnesses are exactly like that. I mentioned they do have charismatic leaders. So they don't have one charismatic leader. They did initially Charles Tails Russell, but then he died. And then they had someone named Nathan Knorr. And then I think they had two more like leaders who were ruling, on their own. And I think that's when they realized that, this is not working. This is not smart because we kind of seen as a cult. So they diversified it and they had a group of men lead at the same time. So it's not one charismatic leader now for the Jehovah's Witnesses, but it's a group of men. And I think now there's like 13 of them. And these men are called the governing body. They make all of the rules, all of the changes for the religion on a global scale. Like anywhere in the world, they make rules for the people, and they have their own ideologies, their own interpretations of the Bible. The Jehovah's Witnesses even have their own Bible that they have changed to be more accurate. Yeah, so they have their own ideologies, and it's intense devotion, as Vidi mentioned. Listen again, when you are a Jehovah's Witness, you go to meetings twice a week. So the 7 days in the week, two of them, you're going to church, and basically your whole day is gone, or your whole day is centered around going to church. Then these other days, and sometimes even on these days, you are out preaching, you are trying to recruit people, you're using your own time, your own resources to recruit these people. There are people who have forsaken going to school. There are people who have forsaken, pursuing their dreams because it was seen as being ungodly and not in favor of God for you to want to pursue your own dreams, versus you going into the religion and devoting all of your time and effort. So there's lots of people who did not pursue a higher education because they wanted to be more active in the religion, and they've either gone to become, you know, missionaries, or went to serve at a place called Bethel. Bethel is a place where all of the books that the Jehovah's Witnesses publish and give to people, the books are made there. And in every single country where there's a presence of Jehovah's Witnesses, they have a Bethel. Yeah. And a Bethel is where they do the book, where they make their books. The Jehovah's Witnesses are actually the largest organization that is producing the highest amount of books a month. I don't know if I'm wording that correctly, but they, like, people don't even know this, but the Jehovah's Witnesses actually started as a publication company. Like, someone started a publishing company in the late 1800s, and then they realized that, oh, we can make this a business, if we can make this a bigger business if we go into religion. So that's why they produce so many books and have such a strong following, because of they tapped into media, they utilized media, and they used traditional media right at the beginning, where the publishing of books was really starting out, and publishing books all around the world, the Jehovah's Witnesses started then. So they were able to grow so rapidly and quickly because of media. So media is very powerful. Media is a very, very, very powerful tool. That's even how in Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler was able to get so many German people to start, hating Jewish people. It was media was one of the tools as well. Let me answer some of your questions. And we have Nuku saying, according to the Bible, you are not supposed to add nor subtract from the Bible in the book of Revelation. So that was wrong for the Jehovah's Witnesses to write their own Bible. So for them, they said they wrote their own Bible because the different versions have omitted the name of Jehovah. So they have put back God's name. They've done their own interpretations, all of that. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Vidi says, my biggest problem is there are all these different religions or ideas about God, but one Satan. That is so true. That is so true, Vidi. And for me, I think that's a telltale sign that all these religions are basically saying the same thing, you know, because all of these religions, they borrow from spirituality, but then they use their own little interpretations to manipulate people. So they take these practices from African, not just African, like just from any form of spirituality. They take what they want to take and then put in the different interpretations, evil, bad, blah blah blah. But really, it's just to divide us further as people, because just be a decent person, respect the planet. What Vidi does, what Andile does, that's none of my business. It's none of my business. What they believe in, none of my business. Religion is a place for peer pressure. It's a place for peer pressure where you need to do things as a group. Everything is a group project. You now believe in Jesus. Everyone must believe in Jesus with you. Why must this be a group project? Do it alone. Do it alone. Angela says, that was cult. That was a cult, my sister. This encouraging exercise has to be a form of enslaving you mentally. What did you do to deal with such trauma, and what brought you into African spirituality? And then we have Nuku saying religion is not a business. Nuku, you need to study religion and see how much money they make. And then you'll ask yourself again, is this not a business? These people are making bank. These church leaders, they are running a business and they don't get taxed because they are not seen as a business because it's a religion, but they're running a business. If they were not running a business, everything would be free. People wouldn't have to tithe. People wouldn't have to buy church merchandise. People wouldn't have to pay to go to church services or whatever. Religion based believe you, it's a business. But just to go back to Andile's question, like what did I do to deal with so much trauma and what brought me to African spirituality? To heal my trauma is to remind myself that this was not my fault. I was born into this religion. And even if someone gets roped into a cult on their own accord, I would still say the same thing, that it's not your fault, your own fault. Because cults look for people who are not in a good place. Cults look for people who are going through a lot. And they basically exploit that. They pry on people who are just going through a difficult time in life. And that's how they capture you into a cult. So don't blame yourself, and yeah, forgive yourself. It's so important to have grace as a human being on this planet. We all came here to learn and grow from something. So have grace for yourself, have understanding for yourself that you are not perfect. You will make mistakes. That is normal. That is human nature. And be kind to yourself. It happens. It will happen. We will continue to make mistakes. So just continue to be kind to yourself. And when it comes to the trauma, um unpack it, unpack it, have honest and open discussions with yourself, but let it go. Also let it go. Like, yeah, this happened to me, this was painful, it wasn't my fault, it's not my pain to carry anymore. I let it go. And what helped me get into African spirituality is that when I left, I was initially agnostic. So I didn't believe in anything. And I would really encourage someone is that when you leave a religion, get the first few years, don't allow yourself to quickly go into another religion. You are again very vulnerable at that point, very much susceptible to get roped into another religion that could be dangerous. So when you leave a religion, be it a high control religion or just a normal religion, give yourself time to just get to know yourself on a personal level. Do not rush to get into another religion. So I became agnostic and I was like, I don't know if God exists. I don't know. Because at that point, I had never seen God in my life. And I had an open and honest conversation with myself that I've never felt the presence of God in my life. And for me, I don't know if God exists or not. And I just let life unfold. And in allowing myself to just let life unfold, I wanted to learn more about my ancestors, where I come from as a person. And that's how I got into African spirituality. But what really cemented it is that I studied my honors in communication, and it was in integrated organizational communication. That's the name of my qualification. And I had an elective module, so I could choose like what I wanted to study. And one of the offerings was African studies. And I was like, oh my gosh, let me do this. And it blew my mind. It blew my mind. It helped me understand being what it means to be African, how we became colonized, how to decolonize myself, how to learn more. I actually have a very good video, I must say. I'm very proud of it, right here on my channel, about how the Jehovah's Witnesses are anti-black. and I unpack, just how the whole experience basically colonized us as African people. And that was actually my project for that elective module. So go check out that video on my channel, Why the Jehovah's Witnesses Are Anti-Black, Maibuye Africa. That's what I titled the video. I'm so proud of it. And I really go into detail. I unpack colonization, I unpack what it means to decolonize, and the different methods of being colonized and the different methods to decolonize. I really unpack it in that video. And that's what helped me to move back to African spirituality, or just learn more about African spirituality, because for us to center back to what it means to be African is to revert back to our old belief systems, because the way Africans were colonized was through our belief systems. So it was difficult to colonize us and force us to become slaves. It was difficult to just, steal our resources, because Africans were very much empowered, we were rich, we were strong. So what did the colonizers do? They realized, no, we need to study these people a bit further. And that's what they did. They studied us. They studied us, and they realized that, okay, no, if you want to get the black man, his faith, his belief system, that's where you capture him. That's where you find him. So if we just reverted back to African spirituality as Africans, and that's what's happening. Most of us are doing that. And that's why we're seeing this shift happening in and around the world, where just us learning more about our traditions, just us learning more about what it means to be African and our way of life, it's empowering us. We're really seeing our strength. We are really getting to see our power, and it's really making us stronger. Nugo says, we tithe because we return what God has given us. Tithing is not forced, it must come to from your heart. Why would you give God money? Why would God want your money? Think about it. Money, a man-made thing. Why would God need your money? If you want to return God back to God, what God has given to you, you would respect the planet. You would take care of the planet, because that's what God has given you. God has given you this planet. God has given you water. God has given you air to breathe. God has given you all of these things. Money is man-made. The concept that you have to go and buy food in a store, the concept that you have to pay for your own water, the concept that you have to pay for your own rent, the concept that you have to pay for land that God has given you, that is man-made. Tithing is a scam. I'm so sorry if this sounds harsh, but it's the truth. It's a scam, because it's a man-made thing you're giving to man. What would God do with money? What would God do with money? God doesn't need money. What would God need money for? Why? Literally a super powerful entity. God is not even a being, not even a being, or anything that's created. God is precedes everything. What would they do with money when paper money is even losing its value? When now money is all digital. What would God do with money? Why would you need to pay God? For what? And fine, if you're paying God, why don't you give it to God directly? Why must you pay into someone from church? Why must you give it to a man? Guys, church is a business. Church is a business. Let me just drink some water. I've been yapping. The fact that they can tell you need to tithe 10%, scary. Scary. Oh my gosh. No. What's funny, Andile says, what's funny is they are using prophets to make a profit. I know that the cult you was in was bad, but was the good side of it that you had to learn about yourself? Yeah, like I mentioned that my experience was not all bad, honestly. Like nothing horrible happened to me. And I still miss it. I miss the community. There was such a great sense of community. I won't lie. And I miss that a lot. And through that experience, I learned that I'm a people's person. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy getting to know people. But I also learned that people can be tiring, people can be exhausting. So, yeah, that's definitely something that I've learned about myself through that religious experience. And also just self belief. Like, that experience also taught me to really trust my intuition because it just never felt real. I mean, it never felt good to be part of being part of that religion. It always felt off. So for me to follow that feeling, that intuition, I'm really proud of myself because, again, like leaving a high control religion, leaving a cult, and just allowing yourself to deconstruct is so difficult. It's so difficult because of the cognitive dissonance that happens where you feel like, oh my gosh, this is something wrong. You're not supposed to be thinking like this. You're not supposed to be having these independent thoughts. You shouldn't be thinking critically for yourself. That's why the religion doesn't want people to pursue a higher education because a higher education helps you to think critically. It opens up your mind. So the religion doesn't want that. So for me, even with all of that, to still pursue an education, to still want to be informed as a person, yeah, my intuition really got strengthened through that experience without me knowing. And that's something I'm really actually grateful for. We have Teho Fadzo. Hi, Teho. Vidi. Unfortunately, that's where the charismatic comes in. It's not wrong to pay your tithing, but these leaders are using that on people's mind to keep giving. Exactly. I don't think tithing is wrong. I don't think it's wrong to give money into an organization or religion that you're part of and just say, okay, we're giving money to build a new church, to build a new structure. No, because there's this lady on TikTok who was doing this whole experiment where she was calling different churches asking for baby formula. And churches, again, that's why I keep saying that even though I don't like religion, I will never be part of it. I will never discourage the whole population and say no one should be part of a church, no one shouldn't do it. Like, it's up to people and their personal preferences because there are some churches that are actually helping their communities. There are some churches that are really helping people. So giving money for that, that really to me makes so much sense. But the idea of and even paying pastors, I don't have a problem with that. Paying your spiritual leaders, I don't think that's a problem. It's this idea that you need to pay 10%. You need to tithe consistently. You need to, like, your spirituality is measured up against how much money you give. Like, that to me, that's so wrong. And then again, these pastors from mega churches where they're flying private, expensive cars, and there's members within the religion who are suffering. There's a disconnect there. There's a disconnect there. And again, that's why I say religion is a business. And when I say religion is a business, it's not to say that religion needs to be stopped or whatever. No, it means that religions then should be taxed accordingly. And it'll help people to not have these pastors who are exploiting people, taking up their money when there's people within the church suffering, when literally the church could be bringing money together and changing the communities, for example. Think about it. If there's a community of 100 people, think about it. 100 people. They meet every Sunday and they can tithe, for example. Guys, my maths is bad. My math. But for example, 100 people tithe $10 every Sunday. That's what? 10,000 one Sunday. And then they tithe this for every month. I mean, for every week that month. That's 4 weeks. That is $40,000. And the community takes that $40,000 and they're like, okay, there are 10 families that we can now feed. $40,000. I don't even think that's just 10 families. That's multiple families, more than 10 families that you can help feed every month now. That to me makes so much sense that we can use religion to come together and help our community. Sometimes you don't even have to help people outside of your communities. It's people within the church who would need that money. Families you can actually help. So, yeah, where's the money going? Vidi says, I don't think God would ask you to give when he knows you can't even buy bread. Exactly. I don't even think God would ask you for money, point blank, period. Why would God need your money? God can ask you to help someone else and be like, you know what, go help so and so, do so this and this for so and so. Why would God need your money? Why would God need your money? Shelly says, thank you. Thank you. I'm not sure. Thank you for what, but thank you as well. Anita says, what I learned about religion or the colonizers is that they had to write their lives down, and our ancestors used oral history to pass down knowledge, and the colonizers took advantage of that. That is so true. But also, we have writing systems in Africa. We had actually so many writing systems. We wrote on walls within caves, and that's how we were able to learn about people who lived in caves and the types of lives that they've led. But we also have our own writing systems. When the colonizers came here, they really, really worked hard to destroy everything we did. Everything we did. Writing systems, everything that the colonizers have is inspired by us as Africans. Everything. Their writing, their maths, their science, their astrology, every single thing. Even when you think about people like Galileo and Plato, people who were popular, ancient Egypt, they want you to believe that ancient Egyptians were white, Africans in Africa were white. Everything is black people. And these are the systems that were taken and switched around to have you think that no. And there's a video I recently watched that really helped me learn something, that even though we might think that oral passing down oral history um was a disservice for us as Africans, like didn't work in our favor, it actually worked in our favor. But because why Western people lack culture is because of they write everything down. Where us as indigenous people, we pass down our traditions, our culture orally. And because of that, it has been able to live for so long. And because of that, our traditions, our history, it's not just in you sitting down and having a conversation with your grandmother and grandfather learning about the past, but it's literally in our languaging. Literally, like when you greet in Setswana, my home language, I say dumelang. And then you will respond and say lekai. Then I will say reteng. Dumelang is, do you agree? Do you agree? I see you today. Do you agree? And then I will respond and say lekai. Where are you? And then you will respond back and say, I'm just direct translating here. So someone will say dumelang, they will greet you. Dumelang says means do you agree? When you directly translate it. And then someone will respond back and say lekai. And then lekai directly translated means where are you? And then I will respond saying reteng lena lekai. That directly translated means we are here. Where are you? And that's what I mean, that passing down our history and our knowledge orally has helped us as Africans to still have a hold to our traditions and our culture, even till this day, even though we've gone through so much when it came to colonization, because oral history has actually saved us. It's even in our languaging, because when we speak, we don't just acknowledge the person you're speaking to, you acknowledge the people who came before that person, their ancestors. You hear in our languaging, lekai, where are you? Multiple people. That's why when Western people were making a fuss about pronouns, and yeah, we need to use pronouns he, she, they, them. As Africans, it's just like we've been. There's no she, there's no he in the African language, or specifically my home language or Setswana. And I know even South Africa, we don't have those things. We don't use he, she. No, every time you speak or address to someone, it's they. You address them as, collectively. And it's because of, in our languaging, we don't just see you as an individual, we see the people who came before you and the people to come after you. Okay. Vidi, Monica, you actually right, because what pushed me away was when I used my education to be inquisitive instead of helping. They would rather say you should either repent or those are demonic thoughts. Exactly. Religion doesn't want you to be a critical thinker. It does not. That is the worst thing you can do for yourself, to be a critical thinker and be a religious person. It will not work out. Religion wants you stupid. Religion wants you submissive. Religion wants you passive. And you are more easily controllable in that sense. So it's very important to be educated and inform yourself and just know, take in information. It's not even about, do I believe in this information? Do I believe in this? No, learn. Just take in information, learn the world, gain knowledge, see what resonates, see what doesn't resonate with you. Just take in information and learn. There's so much power in just being informed as a person. We have Andile. Did you ever have to go to door to convert people into your religion? Oh my gosh, yes. What was the worst experience? Yes, oh my gosh, we did, guys. I went door to door my whole life up until my early 20s. The worst experience, and I'm not even that scared of dogs, but of course, I do fear dogs that could harm you or bite you. I remember we once got chased by a dog, and it was just this huge. I've not seen such a big dog where I'm from. It was just huge, fluffy dog. There was such a panic. I don't know how many times I got chased away. Oh my God, it was so embarrassing. People being chasing you away from their homes. Oh my gosh. And then there's one time that was awful. We had this program where they exchanged us with a Afrikaans congregation. So there was a program in the religion where they had an Afrikaans congregation come to visit us, because I grew up in a rural area, a semi-rural, semi-township area. So the white congregation came here, and then we also went to visit the white congregation. So when the white congregation came, they, it's called field service when you go house to house to preach to people. So they came and did field service with us. And the white people loved it when they came to our side, because black people are so receptive when you go in to speak to them about God. Even if a black person does not share your faith, does not share your belief system, they will sit there and listen and be like, oh, okay, I hear you. Well, I'm not really interested, but thank you. Like, there's a respect we have when it comes to God, that even if a message does not really resonate with you, there's a certain level of respect where people will still listen to you. So the white people were like, just like, oh my gosh, people are so receptive. They were so shocked. And of course, black people are like, oh my gosh, white people in a black area preaching about God, come in, let's listen. That's what happened. But when we went to the white neighborhood to preach, guys, that was hell. That was hell. White people ain't got no time for God. They ain't got no time. We got chased away so many times. I remember this one man, I will never forget that expression. We knocked by his gate, and then he saw us and he was like, Jehovah's Witnesses, off with you, off with you. And I was like, I've never been chased away like that. Whew, guys, it's horrible going house to house. Like, that's why Jehovah's Witnesses are such great salespeople. Like, if you are in sales and you need to hire a salesperson, hire Jehovah's Witness. They are good. They know how to take negative feedback. We have Nuku. Bye, guys. It was nice to have a conversation with you all. It was so nice talking to you as well, Nuku. Take care. Vidi says take care as well. Crazy how Vidi, another response from Vidi. Crazy how the whole greeting is the same in different traditions, because even in Zulu is the same as Setswana. Exactly. Sawubona. I see you. That's Zulu when you start greeting. Ninjani. How are you? Sikona. Don't laugh at my accent, please. But we are here. We are here. And I think there's so much importance in our languaging and how we speak, that as Africans, we must take up space and say we are here, because we are here. We are here on this planet. Take up space. We have Andile. if you can check that most languages that are spoken in South Africa have a lot of similarities, which means at some point we spoke the same language. Definitely, like not just even in South Africa, like Bantu languages have similar words. So even if you go to Kenya, for example, and you know a bit of Swahili, there's some Swahili words that are similar to our words. Even in Uganda, anywhere in Africa, especially specifically Bantu languages, because they are like kind of one group of languages under like it's Bantu languages, obviously. So there are some similar words that we share. So yeah, at some point we all probably spoke the same language and it kept changing as we were moving around the continent. But yeah, guys, that is my time. That is my little history and story about growing up in a high control religion. And the experience has truly shaped me as an individual. And it was a lot. I'm still unpacking so much. Oh, this head wrap is actually giving me a headache. But yeah, I've had to just unlearn so many things. I feel like I didn't do my hair properly, but it's fine. Guys, today I have so much to do. Like, I feel like I'm just chilling with you guys here because I want to delay the things that I have to do. But yeah, there's so much to unpack as Africans. I don't even know what I was saying. I'm getting tired now. Vidi says, but honestly, not being racist, we black people have always been more welcoming and forgiving. That's why we in this position. Caucasians aren't open to blacks, not at all. But yeah, that is so true. I kind of have to agree. And being so open and receptive as Africans also just is what got us into the situation. And I don't think it means that we need to stop being kind and we need to stop, having ubuntu or boto. But it does mean we need to toughen up as people. We need to reclaim things and just center back. I even think that we are trying so hard to prove that racism is bad. Racism actually, is a disservice to everyone and trying to prove our worth. This is like what they mean when they say that racism is a distraction. Because here you are trying to prove that no, black people are smart, black people are valuable, black people are strong. All of these things trying to dispute racism. And while we're trying to disprove this, they are getting ahead. They are doing their own thing. And all we need to do as Africans is not to fight them at their own game. No, no, no. We just need to center back to what it means to be African. Like literally. Like just center back to what it means to be African. If all of us today just woke up and we're like, you know what? I'm no longer supporting these businesses that are facilitating wars in Africa, these businesses that, harm us as Africans. I'm no longer going to bank with these banks, for example. The world would collapse. And then Africans would be empowered because all of a sudden we're going to say, like, I'm going to put my money behind Africans. The world would collapse. And that's what I think we need to do. Like, we don't need to be fighting, proving our worth. We don't need to, no, center back to what it means to be African. That's it. The spirit of Ubuntu is written in our DNA. We can't lose that. But at some point we have to look within and fix our own house. 100%. 100%. And on that point, guys, I have to love you all and leave you. I want to thank you all so, so much for joining my live. Oh my gosh. I'm becoming so delirious. I've been talking for so long, but I really enjoyed this conversation, guys. Thank you so much for your time and just hanging out with me. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye.